Let's talk about the other big issue that's going on locally in Fairfield, and that is the toxic dumping scandal. For those who don't know, two public works directors are charged with accepting bribes from a private company to let them dump toxic waste on town property. We're talking about parks and playgrounds even. The cleanup cost could top $2 million. Now, Brian, I know you've talked a lot about this on the campaign trail. Brenda Kupchik did when she was running for first select woman. But really, realistically, in Hartford, what can either of you do about that locally?
If you want to go first, Ryan.
I think that we need to be advocating for funds to help offset and alleviate the burden on our community. On the Board of Ed, the first thing we did when we heard about this was to shut down all the fields and all the schools our children, all the playgrounds our children access, to ensure student and staff safety is number one. Although I do think it's interesting that my opponent here was serving in that community with the fill pile, and instead of using his expertise as an environmental lawyer to raise the alarm in 2016 about this fill pile issue, he said nothing. And maybe that could have been something that was tackled back then, and we could have avoided this $2 million or possibly more crisis now.
Brian?
Well, a little surprised by that, and the reality is there are actually, I have spoken out on this at, there's committee meetings that are on tape where I have spoken out about this, and if we are talking about speaking out, the reality is you are being paid by the Democratic Town Committee as a political consultant to get Mike Tetreault reelected, and I didn't hear you speak out, and I could point to recordings on Fair TV where I did. So I guess I disagree with this, and I do think my experience as an environmental health and safety lawyer for Sikorsky Aircraft for all their global operations, my experience at DEEP, working with them, I think that on day one I'm ready to help that. So I was a little surprised by that comment.
Jennifer?